Welcome everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. In a few weeks now, but now we see each other. So we have the typical agenda: news, reminders, release notes, demo, and its priorities. We start with the reminders. Today is January 18th. We're doing a helpful release webinar with new features we have added to the software. And we have another release webinar next month, third Wednesday of the month as usual. And we have a Q&A webinar we do with the Village to Village Network next week, January 25th at the usual time. These are a few useful resources, like a training docs guide, the help center, and different things that can help you use Helpful Village every day. For next week's webinar that we do this Q&A, everyone can ask questions. We just simply ask if you can please send the questions ahead of time to Gary Frankel, who's our national coordinator. Basically, that helps coordinate the question, think about your questions before the session so we can come up with a better answer. And basically, we always coordinate with Gary before the webinar so that he sends out the questions, we reorder the questions, we make it a little bit more better planned meeting. So if you have questions, you can start sending them to Gary at this email address, and he helped us coordinate this Q&A. Oops, this is it. So this is a reminder of the training docs guide, which is a table of contents actually of the documentation, and basically the help center that contains all the training articles. When you go to the help center, basically you can submit a request. If you have a ticket or a request for our team, but you can also explore the documentation through the basically this table of contents, or typing an interactive search using that search field. Okay, we ask you to separate your questions. One going to the help center to when you have bugs, and then if you have new ideas, it goes to a different bucket, and that's under ask.helpfulvillage.com. And with all those reminders being done, we're going to move to the release notes right away. These improvements are not on the server yet. They will be on the server during the weekend when there is a little bit less activity. We take the time to do the maintenance on, sorry, on my phone, to have the, basically do the deployment to the servers when there is a little bit less activity on the servers on the weekends. So these changes will be visible starting this weekend. And the first changement is a totally new feature that we're doing. So basically, we have the possibility to add vehicle management. And so this is something that is not necessarily going to be useful to all villages, but some. What we have added is the possibility to add a vehicle to the database. We are actually working with this village, and they owned their own fleet, kind of a small fleet. I think it's 2 vehicles that they own and they operate. And basically, it was important for them to, kind of manage that vehicle in the database. I have a few questions for you. I will show you later during the demo time what are the fields we're storing. Kind of some of them are quite kind of standard, kind of the plates, the make, the model, the color, insurance information, stuff like that. So if you feel that there is some missing information about vehicles we should have, please let us know. The other thing that is interesting is how do we attach these vehicles to the request? So we're thinking about different things. One is with this particular village we're working with, they were thinking about the possibility to attach a vehicle to a service request. So basically when there is some transportation ride that is being done, so that they can know what vehicle did that ride. I have other questions for you, basically knowing if you think it makes sense to add not kind of fleet vehicles, but more something like private vehicles. If you think it would make sense to have a vehicle added to a user profile, so that I don't know if you have a volunteer driving, if it makes sense to record. I know, for example, when you do Uber or Lyft or something like that, when someone picks you up, you can check the plate to make sure that the person picking you up is your driver. So at this point, we're basically seeking your feedback. If you think this would be useful, if it would make sense in the context of your village, not only as a fleet vehicle, but also as a private vehicle of your volunteers. So We don't need to do the discussion right now, but if you have ideas or send by feedback or we discuss next week during the Q&A, we can do all that. So yeah, so basically vehicles is a new feature in Helpful Village. It looks a little bit like that. So these screens may look a little bit familiar, and we do that on purpose. So basically we have a list of vehicles where you can see on the left, where basically you can have a name, different comments, and possibility to edit these vehicles. And on the right, you have this detail view of the vehicle, where basically that shows basically the seating, the fields we're using, basically the name, VIN number, license plate, colors, and stuff like that. So we'll see this during the demo later today. The other thing I wanted to talk about today is that we added the possibility to use tags, and we're using tags not only, I mean, we were using tags for people for a long time, but now we added the possibility to use tags for organizations. Or it's a separate set of tags. Actually, some tags are the same, because basically we started doing this because we're working with Capital City in Austin, Texas, and they raised a very good point, so that we should be able to send emails to not only people, but organizations for fundraising campaigns. So basically having them synchronized with MailChimp. So in order to do this, we needed to do a few things. The possibility to create new tags for organizations. As you can see here in my example, I created a corporate sponsor tag for this organization. And then we have all the tags that are associated with the MailChimp management. So if you want to add this person to the MailChimp, well, basically you have the MailChimp checkboxes work exactly the same as for people. So basically, if you want to add them to MailChimp, and then the three other options are grayed out, because basically it's not something you can click or unclick. It's something that basically is information we receive from MailChimp. So for example, and maybe I can do a quick reminder, because it's the exact same thing for users. If someone contacts your village that they were on MailChimp, they no longer want to be on your MailChimp list, you can simply come in here and check the MailChimp checkbox. And when you uncheck, that will we will let basically MailChimp know, and we will check this MailChimp archived checkbox for you. That means that, you know, it was on MailChimp and then you decided to remove it yourself, the owner of the mailing list. But then if you want to re-include them again, it's easy. You can go back, check the MailChimp checkbox again, and then that will bring them back into the MailChimp checkbox. And then the other two statuses, I can quickly explain. This is not new. This existed for users. It's the same for organizations, but just a quick reminder. MailChimp cleaned is a checkbox that gets checked automatically when MailChimp tries to send an email several times to the same email address, but that email address is not working. At one point, MailChimp will stop sending emails to that address because they understand that the email address is wrong or has been deactivated or is no longer valid. So basically, we see something that is cleaned, just means MailChimp just basically decided not to send emails to that address anymore. Obviously, if there is a mistake, you can contact us. We can, you know, or contact the owner of the inbox. Maybe it's full for 3 months or something like that. And the last one, the last checkbox there is called MailChimp unsubscribed. When you send a MailChimp email out, it always contains a link that allows the person to unsubscribe themselves from the list without even contacting you. They can unsubscribe from MailChimp. This is a good, basically anti-spam practice. And if they do it, it's their own choice, and you will see it because basically their MailChimp unsubscribed checkbox will be checked on this list. So that's why they are grayed out, because it's kind of information we receive from MailChimp, and it's not something you can check or uncheck. On the right-hand side, we're showing basically how to create a new tag for an organization. So basically, you go actually under admin people management groups, as you have done for other groups. But when you create a new group, there will be this checkbox here that allows you to say if this is a tag for an organization. If this is a tag for an organization, basically, obviously, will show up in the list of tags available to organizations, as you can see on the left. So the tags are separate. Whew. We created also a mailing list. So if you go under people management, a menu, admin, people management groups, there is mailing list and there is tags. So basically mailing lists are these mailing lists that you can synchronize with MailChimp, but that are automatically managed by Helpful Village. So basically you cannot decide to add people manually to active members. they will be added to active members if their membership information is correct. I mean, if they have a status of active and the expiration dates are right, etc. We do this exact same thing. So every time you create an organization, it will come into the mailing list organizations automatically. You don't need to add people in there, but it's good to know for you good to know that there is a mailing list that is here. It's a mailing list that you will be able to use in the email messenger. So you can start sending email messages out to basically these corporate email addresses. You can create tags, as we said before, for organizations, and you can do a combination when you're sending a message out from MailChimp. You can always say, well, I want to send an email to all organizations that also have this tag. For example, all the organizations that are corporate sponsors. You can always do the segmentation basically of your email messages when they go out. I'll show this in the demo later today too. Okay. I should have grabbed a glass of water because I have a lot of explaining here. This is a new setting we created in, as you can see, admin menu settings and then money. And these are the different settings that exist in money. Some of them existed already. The new option, I forgot to put the red box around it, is the second option, Stripe processing fees calculation option. So, yeah, I have some explanation to do, but I'll do it on the next slide, I think. Yeah, you should review these options because these options are interesting. The first one is quite obvious. What is your default fundraising campaign? So you can change them. So when you click on Donate Now, you can go to Giving Tuesday, your general fund, or to whatever fundraising campaign you decide. The Stripe processing fees calculation, I'm going to explain in a minute or in the demo. The next two fields are important for basically anti-hacker kind of thing. If we realize that hackers sometimes try to do a small payment, so you can decide to have a minimum amount of the payments for credit card that is $5, set to $5 by default. And then around how many payments do you receive per month? So if you receive about 30 or 40, well, then maybe it's good to have a maximum of 100, so that if there is some ill-intentioned people that come in and then suddenly you can have 3,000 payments, like, well, that's not normal activity. Anyways, so these are settings. We can come and answer questions about these settings later during the demo too. When you choose this option, it's an option when you have your members that are paying for their membership. We're giving them the option if we offer them the possibility to pay with their credit card and stuff or their bank account. And then basically, they're offered to pay the total amount of their membership. And there's this checkbox at the bottom, which gives them the option to participate or compensate the credit card fees. So as you know, there is some Stripe fees. There is also a small Helpful Village fee. So basically, if the member wants to cover, because they want to give you a little bit more so that they cover for the processing fees, they can check that box. And we do the calculation of how much do we think the fees will be. And then we add that to the initial payment that they were doing. So let's say that this person wanted to make a payment of $100. If they check this box, well, they will be invited to pay 100 and something, 104, 103, 102, or something like that to cover for the processing fees. So they decide to pay a little bit more so that the fees are covered. Actually, I need to be very careful with the words because they decide to cover for the fees, but the fees are always paid by the village. So they will always be discounted from the payments you receive in your bank account. So basically for each charge or payment, Stripe is going to do this calculation, and then they remove from the amount they received, they remove the Stripe fees, the Helpful Village fees, and they wire you the money. So even if the donor or the person or the member is accepting to pay for the fees, what I mean is that this is not a charge that will be made to their credit card. They're just accepting to give you a little bit more so that when Stripe takes the fees from your payment, it is the exact same amount as they as they initially wanted to do. So if they it's just complicated to explain this with words, but let's say that this person had to make a membership payment of $100, right? If they check this box, I think this is something like the fees that you will receive is about, let's say $3, and I'm not doing the math straight, but basically let's say $3. So basically this, if they check this box, the person will be invited to pay $103. So that basically when you receive the payment from Stripe, Stripe will remove the fees they need to remove from your payment. In this case, let's say it's $3. So you will receive $100. So you're still, they're still taking the money from your payment. But because the person was giving initially more money to you, maybe you get the net amount you wanted initially. Okay, we have a new processing fee option that I will show in the demo also. And I needed to say two things about this. The first is like we have this membership fees calculation that I'm showing here, the way this was calculated. We did a small adjustment here because we had a few kind of a change in the formula, just changes a few cents. So just letting you know, if you have questions, we can go over the formula and doing the math together. And the other thing that I did is what I showed in settings. I showed an additional option for processing the Stripe fees. So it's quite interesting because we give you the option of what you want to display, but the actual payment fees will always be the same. Actually, when we have this option of saying, well, compensating for processing fees, actually Stripe, nothing changes in the payment process. So Stripe doesn't even know that the person accepted to pay the processing fees. We're not even telling them. It's just Helpful Village doing the math of how much more money should they pay so that the net amount you receive is equivalent of what they wanted to send you. So there are these two options because basically the actual formula is a little complicated, right? So it's these Stripe fees per transactions are 2.9% plus 30 cents and then plus 0.8% Helpful Village fee. And that gives a whatever number. We were talking with one village that they said, well, because the calculation of the fees is so complicated, we would like to have another option by which the person would pay simply 3%, just simplify the math. So you can choose that option if you want. Now, if you choose that other option, it's not covering the full fees. It's just they participate to part of those fees, but it will not cover those fees. I'll show this in the demo and then we'll have the conversation in the demo. Okay, and then there is other bug fixes, and this is my last slide. So basically, just wanted to let you know that we have fixed an issue setting up monthly payments for members. It's just Stripe changed the name of a function when you wanted to stop monthly payments. There was an error message that has been removed, so that was fixed. There was also another bug. This one was my bad. So it's on the instant membership. So most villages don't have instant membership, but as a reminder, it's a premium feature that allows someone in your community to come in. Basically, when they do their application form, they can choose to become instant members. So they are offered the possibility to pay for their membership without the review process of, acceptance or application form. It's like some villages have activated this feature where people can become members immediately. And then obviously they make a credit card payment immediately. And then when they make their credit card payment, we're not capturing the funds. So we were blocking the funds in the credit card, but then we need to do a second step where we transfer the funds from the credit card to the village. And then there is another change that we had discussed last time. It's like the volunteer application form. I said fees, but it's form. That produces an email, and that email was going before to, in the past was going to something that was called application manager role. And we no longer have that role. So now we did something, I think it's better. We discussed this with several villages. I remember Jim and probably other villages. So we have a new volunteer manager contact info in settings, contact info. So when someone fills out an application form, it goes to the email address that is recorded into basically the volunteer manager. Cool. So that was all the discussion and text. Now I'm going to show you the demo, and then we can open up for questions. So let me see. First, let me move my windows here. Okay, so this is demo site. I can close this. Okay, I'm gonna start with this one. That's easy. So this is the vehicle. So we don't know exactly where to link it yet, because I wanted to hear from villages first. If you think that these vehicles is something that is relevant, connected to a user or a person in your database, if it's a volunteer, or if it's something that is something that we should rather put in under services management. So that my other thought is that maybe it will come under services management. We'll have kind of vehicle management, but depending on the feedback we get, if you think it should be connected to a person, then maybe we'll go into the person profile too. But basically you have a list of vehicles, and then here you have the usual helpful village interaction. You can do edit this vehicle, you can view the vehicle, or you can create a new vehicle. So maybe we can create a new vehicle together. So this is so basically it's a red rocket ship, and this is has a license plate because we put license plate on rocket ships now. And then this is a Ford rocket of 2018, which is red, obviously. Whatever insurance company with an insurance policy that seating capacity of 15. Vehicle location is in the Main Street garage. And then this one is grant funded. So this particular village we're discussing with, they receive funding for that vehicle. And then you can add some comments, but I don't have an idea for comments, so just save this. And then this shows the details of the vehicle. So here's just reading the information. So it's the chosen name for the vehicle you have, and this is kind of an alias of the vehicle because you can choose whatever. And then basically the VIN on all this information that we just said, and there's a button at the bottom that takes you to the list of vehicles. And then basically we had the village super van that we saw before, and the village that we created together, the red rocket ship. So this is so this is how we added vehicle management. Next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to go into organization management. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you here that we can go into services management and then organizations. When you go into organizations, you have basically, well, these institutional things. So you can have No Worries, Sunrise, Made in Local, Helpful Village, or stuff like that, or any other company that or organization you want to have in your software. If you click, for example, on Helpful Village, you have the phone number, the website. An organization can be a provider if they're also providing services. Kind of a plumber or a lawyer, etc., will be a provider. An organization does not need to be a provider. If it's an organization, for example, a foundation that is not offering services to members, it should not be a provider. Just an organization is okay. And then each organization can make donations and payments, and you can have affiliates. So basically, for example, in this case, you could have a person like myself. Let me see this. I have not tried this affiliate thing in a while, but basically I can search Manuel, search, and this is me, this is good. And then I'm the Helpful Village CEO. I was in the database. So very quickly, you can basically attach people to an organization. So if you have, state agency or something, and then you say here for this organization, who are the people and their titles that are attached to that organization. You can also have donations that are made by this organization. Let's do a quick donation here. Search organization is already set up to Helpful Village, and Helpful Village is giving $50. We're giving this money, and then we're doing a credit card payment. And then here we have also the possibility to cover for this processing fees. I'm actually going to show this because basically let's do $100 instead. And then basically what I wanted to show you is that if I choose to, obviously the amount of the processing fees change with the amount. So basically in this case, if we do for 100, it's going to go for 15. Then if I check this box, and then I say pay with credit card, actually what happened, and you don't see it, but basically this person accepted to add $4.15. So basically, actually what we're doing is we're changing the donation amount to $104.15, right? And if I uncheck this box, then we're back to $100. So what I'm saying is that these processing fees is just us calculating Helpful Village how much would be the fees for this payment, and we're just adding them to the payment that is being done. And then basically here I can pay. And then basically I'm gonna enter this credit card number. Ooh, that was not a good year. Oops. And then I accept the terms, and then I make this donation. It takes a little second to process the payment. And that's it. So now the donation has been successfully submitted. So now when we look at the organization, actually we're here because this is a payment that we're showing now. But actually, if I click on the organization, we have the organization view, and here we have the organization information. You have the donations and payments of this organization and the affiliates that we created before. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you here is that we can edit this organization. And then down here at the bottom, so this is new, so you will not see this on your servers yet. You have the possibility to check the tags for this organization. So basically here I can say that this is a corporate sponsor and save this. And then when I save this, it's on the list of tags of these organizations. You can see that here also in the details view. Now, what I wanted to do is create a tag with you as a training for when you will need to do this, and to create a new tag for an organization, not something you do here, something you do from here, people management. I need to move this window. People management, groups. And then basically, if you go to tag people, which is interesting because obviously our organizations people, the government says it is, but you will see now that some of these tags are for organizations. So you see this one, board member, events, and stuff like that. These are the usual tags that we had and are for people. And then when they're for organizations, they have this parentheses thing that we add at the bottom. So corporate or sponsor is a tag for organizations, and we're going to create another tag for organizations. So you go into new group. And then I can create a new group, and then I want it to be creative. What would be a good tag for organization? If someone can help me here, I can do this. What could it be?
Organizations.
Yeah, but I mean, they're all organizations. It would be some kind of
corporate sponsors.
I have that one already, so I need a new. That's the only one I could come up with.
Local village.
What is it?
Local village. We have other villages in our area as organizations.
You're right. What did you say? Is village or something different? There was something before. Oh,
Local.
Okay, local village. Yeah, that's a good example. So basically, if you want to tag other villages, other organizations that are villages in your state or anywhere, you can do that. So, and you can choose the name of the tag that you want. So it doesn't need to be that. And then basically, this is basically local villages in our state, or this is a comment also. You can write whatever you want in there, and then you save it. And then when you save it, it's going to be here on the list. You see local village, it takes organizations here. So that's good. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is that I can search an organization. So we're going to go back there, services management, groups. No, sorry, wrong. Services management organization. And if I go back into Helpful Village, or anyone actually, if I go here, you see in the tags, it says corporate sponsor only. And then if I click on edit the organization, I will see the list of tags. And the list of tags now includes the organization tag that we created, local village. So now I can manage this. And let's say that I want this organization to be a corporate sponsor, but I want it to be a local village. And then I save this. And then you see the tags of this organization is a local village. Okay. So your organization can be tagged, and then you can also, as usual, synchronize the tags with MailChimp and send emails to your tags and organizations, stuff like that. So this is a new feature for organizations management. So I want to discuss, I want to show you this other processing fees option. Before we go there, I wanted to maybe, if we have some questions about this part. Is anyone has, I'm not reading the chat also, so if there is something on the chat, that is relevant to this point, anyone can read it for me, that helps. And if we have no questions, we can move on. But I'll move on. There is another trick I'll show you. Oh, Jim, you have a question. That's perfect.
When, oops, that's not working. When you record the amount donated, is it the amount that the donor sees and fee is added, or is it the amount that the village receives?
Okay, good. So that's the next point I wanted to discuss. So let's do that. So here, you go to this donation, right? So basically the amount that is here, right? This is the amount that that will be debited from, I mean, that will be taken from the person's credit card. So this is basically just the money that goes out from his account, right? So let's say that this person comes and say, okay, I want to give, okay, I'm gonna put my name here. Okay, and then let's say that I want to give $10, right? Because I'm doing a donation for whatever reason. And then basically, when I come down here at the bottom, I can say, okay, well, there will be some fees I have the option. I mean, I can do the donation like this and just give $10. But if I want to do more than this 10, I mean, if I want to cover for the processing fees, I have the option to check this box. And when I do that, actually, because I agreed to pay a little more, I'm now making a donation of $10.70. So basically, this is the amount that will be taken from the credit card of the person. Okay. Now, maybe the next thing that I can do is, let me try this. It's a little dangerous because I don't know what is going to open, but there you go. Let me see if I can do. God, this is not working for me. Docs. Just want to do a new document, but I can't because I don't know how to create a new document. Boo.
Go to the three
Here.
lines.
Whew. Got it. Okay, so basically this is how I'm going to do the math with you now. Okay, so basically you have 1070. Okay, that's the example that we got for the donation. Remember, on 10, then we decided to add the fees. Okay, so 1070, it works like this. If you do 1070 times 2.9%, this is a standard processing fee. I wanted to make a comment here. I mean, it's a little complicated to explain of this because there are plenty of different options. Stripe offers a discount for nonprofits. So for your donations, that you can get a better deal. And most of the time it's 2.2%. You need to check because we have been talking with a village and they had not applied for their special rate for the donation. So they are losing money because basically Stripe is charging them more. So I would recommend all villages in the call that they check with their accountant or something for their donations. But basically for their donations, I'm sure they can apply for a better Stripe fee. So that is most of the time 2.2 plus 30 cents. Now, the way, if you don't have that preferential fee, there is a training document on Helpful Village that explains to you how to do it, but basically you need to contact Stripe, even on an existing Stripe account, and you can tell them, hey, we're a nonprofit, and we would like to apply for the nonprofit rate, that would be 2.2%, and then they will ask you for some documentation, your 501c3 documentation, stuff like that, and once they review the documentation, they gave you a better deal. But when they give you a better deal, actually it doesn't change anything. And actually Stripe doesn't even inform us of the deal you got. So we are doing the calculation with assuming you did not get the discount. So we will use the 2.9%. Okay, so now let's do the math together on this. So I'm going to open this because you can do a calculator on Google. So this is 0.31 cents. Okay, so 1070 times 2.9. This is 0.31 cents. Okay, now basically this, let me right here, Stripe. Got fees are 2.9% plus 30 cents. Come on, Google, what happened? 30 cents per transaction. And then there is another fee, which is a Helpful Village fee of 0.8%. where, I mean, transaction. Okay, anyways. So this is it. So basically the Stripe fee will be 0.31 and the 0.31 plus plus 30 cents, right? So this is the Stripe fee. And then the Helpful Village fee will be 10.7 times 0.8%. And then if we do the math together here, I mean, do the math, we ask the calculator to do the math for us. It does 0.8 cents. So 0.8 cents. And then, so the total fee here is 0.31 plus 0.30. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, this is 0.61. So this is Stripe fee. Plus 0.08 fees, and this is 0.69. And then basically what's interesting now is that you take the initial amount that this person gave, which is 1070, and then you remove the 0.69, and obviously there is some rounding, something, whatever. So basically the amount of money that you will receive in your bank account is 10.01. So basically what we're doing here is that the person came in here, right? The initial amount that they wanted to donate, they initially wanted to donate 10. Okay, then they accepted to cover processing fees. So we do this math that we have there. So they accept to pay 10.70 as we saw. And basically after Stripe takes all these fees, so basically the village receives 10.01. So which is exactly what he wanted, right? So he wanted to give you 10 and cover for the fees. So basically the amount that you receive in your bank account is 10 or 10.01. So that's how the math works. So I don't know. So if there is any question about the math, we can discuss about this, because I know I've been discussing with some villages that were saying, well, we're calculating the fees not on 1070, but we're calculating on 10 or stuff like that. But we really need to calculate the fees on the total amount, because otherwise we don't get the math right of how much money. I mean, this is the net amount he wanted to give you, and this is working because you received the amount of money he wanted to give you.
But Manuel, what
Yes.
number do you record as the payment?
This. So basically this, they accept to pay $10.70. And this is also what we record in the payment. In Helpful Village, when you go to the list of payments, we record that too.
Thank you.
But the amount of money that you will receive in the bank account is not that amount, it's that amount minus the fees. But basically what you have in the person profile and then the list of payments is how much money the person accepted to pay you. So then you have some cost associated to your thing. Okay.
Manuel, how is
Yes.
this process, what the improvement different than the way it was already? Because we had the option to,
Yeah. So this one is the same. So because basically this is a standard calculation process, right? Which is doing the math in the most accurate way possible, which is calculating how much money so that we can get this number closest, right, to whatever number they had. But then we had a village that contacted us saying, well, we want to make the math easier for our members so that they understand the fees that they're paying, etc. And then basically I'm going to show that now. Admin settings, money. Basically here you have this option here is the Stripe processing fees calculation. The option that I just showed is a standard, which is exactly covering the exact fees that you're receiving from this person. I mean, we do the math so that it's as close as possible. Now you have another option, which is choosing this. Rather than doing this calculation standard, which is 2.9 plus 30 plus whatever, we have this other village saying, well, we want to inform our village, kind of our members that basically the fee that we're paying is simpler to calculate, it's at 3%. If you choose this option and then we say, let's try now do a new donation here. And then we have 3, and then, okay, let me search. Okay, we have this, and then now the fees are a little different. It's 67, and now this is, you click this option, it's still same thing. So we're gonna add to the total amount that is debited from the account 67. Now, where is this 67 coming from? It's just easier to calculate now because I think that we're doing the 67 is something like 10.67. This is too risky. I'm not even sure I can do the math right for this other option here. This is kind of 3%. 3%. 3%. And then how much is this? Is 32 cents. God, I don't know. No, this one got me confused. Oh, yeah, and I know what happens because the 3% plus 30 cents, I think. So that's it, I think. So it's 32. So we have 32. Let me do this. 32. And then plus 30 cents, 62. But now let me try to do another thing. So with 10 times 3%. And this is obviously, I can do this one without the calculator because I'm that good. And then plus 30 cents is plus 6. So that would be plus 30 cents. 36, and then this is what I said or not?
67.
67. Oh shit. So I don't know. I need to review these maths. So I'll send an email later because I cannot do it in real time now during the calculation. But basically the whole goal is saying, so basically what's important is why we did this. So this is the standard calculation that I showed, and I have the math right because I spent quite some time getting all this math right and stuff like that. So this one is a standard method, right? And now you understand the math, how it goes. And then the other option that we're adding first is important to clarify. Stripe is going to take the same fees no matter what. So this other formula that we're doing is that you're choosing to charge your members or donors a little less with a simpler formula to calculate, which is something like this. And that's it, 3%. And then we show this amount. But it doesn't change the fees that Stripe is going to charge you or Helpful Village is going to charge you. It's more of an option of how much of the processing fees you want to invite your donors to give with a simpler formula. And I'll send an email with the exact math because now I'm not going to look into the code exactly. But basically the point was doing something simpler that doesn't have all these other steps here explaining this much and much.
Manuel,
Mm-hmm.
Nancy from Clayton Valley Village had a good point. Could we just allow the donor to choose the amount? So have the text say Stripe's fees are 67 cents. Would you like to donate toward this amount and let them choose?
What we're doing? I think they have that option. I mean,
Yeah, I guess they do. I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of.
I mean, they don't, I mean, here we're calculating,
Yeah, there
they cannot enter it. Obviously, there is one way to do it, right? If the person doesn't check this box and come back here and say, okay, oh, it's 67, well, I want to give, and here you can always change your amount, right? And say, I want to give 1080s. But people will not do it. I don't think people will go back up to the amount. So basically they check this fee and then they come back in here. I mean, if we give the option for people to enter the fee that they want to enter is an additional step, basically the checkbook just is so much quicker to say, okay, well, okay, I'm okay with this 32 cents. I don't care. I can do this and then just pay. See what I'm saying? If we enter another fee, it's going to complicate, and I think we're going to lose some donors. So I like the thinking because it gives more option to the person, but in the end, it makes it a little bit more complex. So not necessarily. Actually, we have, I'm going to show you here because basically when we do membership renewals, there is a similar kind of thing. If I want to renew my membership, right? And then in a membership, and I'm associated with Christina on this demo, and then basically for renew membership of $60, I also have the possibility to add these fees. And then we have this field here, but this field is not editable because, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. We're just showing it, but then just added the 180 here. Kind of funny because this checkbox you cannot uncheck. So anyways.
Yeah, and that actually just making that fee editable,
Mhm.
but automatically pre-populated with what the actual
Yeah.
charge will be.
Yeah, I get the idea, and I kind of some things that I like about it, some things also that I don't like about it, because maybe I think we need just, I mean, for me the main thing here is just avoiding the confusion, and we have had some confusion, some tickets, and spent some time on Zoom and phone calls, etc. Some people are saying, oh, so the member is paying for the processing fees, and then we're paying for the processing fees again, stuff like that. Well, it's not true. It's like, I mean, it's kind of funny because it's just a way how you explain it, because basically the person, I mean, the village is always paying the processing fees, right? The member is not paying them, but because they accept to give you a little bit more money, in the end, they offset the fees that you will have to pay. So it's just a way to explain it with words. So I don't want to add more complexity kind of with some way of choosing fees and stuff like that. I prefer having to pre-calculated fees that we can always, explain to villages how we did that calculation, because otherwise we're just going to die on tickets. So
Manuel, this is Leila. Your phrasing is exactly the way that, from my experience, is useful, is to use the language of offsetting the fees that the village will be charged, because then you're establishing the village will be charged these fees. This, you checking this is you're taking action to offset those fees.
Okay, yeah, it's good. Thank you, Leila, for that, because sometimes I don't know. I mean, I speak some English, but I don't know sometimes how accurate my description is. But I think
in there it's saying to offset the fees that will be charged to the village, because then you're establishing in that those fees are charged to the village, and that the action you're taking is to offset the fees that will be charged. So then it's not this question of, well, why are we being charged fees if they're paying fees, and that.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because that is one way, right, where I understand about who is offsetting and who's paying the fees. But then the other thing is, like, wanted to make clear is that you are accepting, right, when they check the box, that the additional fee will be added to the amount of your membership. You see what I'm saying? Of basically here, because we need to tell them that, okay, they wanted to pay 60, but it's not a checkbox where somehow the fees go away, magically, but it's not like, no, you're accepting to pay a little more. So we will add this fee to your credit card payment because you want to do it if you want to, but it's like, just, I mean, for me, this was hell, just the kind of going around with the words, trying to explain the best way possible how this thing works.
Manuel, if somebody decides they want to pay the fee, like Mary was suggesting, that'll change the optional service fee in the calculation. But if you just accept from the calculation, then that's the set number. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's the number. Yeah. For example,
but if somebody says, I want to donate $61.80, then the number in the optional service fee is going to change. Because
wait a second. So basically here, this is for the membership renewal. So for the membership renewal, we're not even allowing to change the amount, because basically we don't want to have people renewing their membership for a smaller amount than what the membership is for.
But in the donation part,
so the
if
donation
they put
part
in the amount, then it changes the fee.
Exactly. That's the other thing. It's like when you change the amount, the fees change. So we need to update the fee. So that's exactly what we're doing here. So if this $10, then the fee that is calculated is 30 cents. But then if you have $20,
If you put in 1030, it's going to change the number.
It's 60 cents. Damn, so this now is working. So this is a 3%. You see what I'm saying? The 3% that we option that we chose is exactly that. It's 3 times 2 is 60 cents. You see? So now I don't know what I was doing with my math before, but this is the second option where basically the calculation is just easier. If you choose 20, we're just doing 3%. So that's what we did for this other video, just simplifying the math. I'm happy my math, because it is what I remember. It's just super simple, but it's not the actual math that Stripe will do. It's a simplification of the math. And then this is the village losing a little bit of money. Because the math is simpler, but we are underestimating the fees. I mean, it's not even that simple because it depends on the deal you got from Stripe, right? If you're on 2.2% and stuff like that. And then even the Stripe fee, the Stripe fees are not even that easy to calculate because you get 2.2% on Visa and MasterCard, but on American Express, they're even different. So at one point it's like, you know, like we're trying to calculate these fees, but I also make some simplification. Like I don't, you know, I take 2.9%. Even if you got 2.2, like I'm assuming 2.9, maybe you, and actually the village will receive a little bit more money, right? And then if the person pays with American Express, I'm not even looking at American Express. So if they pay you with American Express, be underestimated, but kind of we try really to be kind of, basically we're trying to do the best we can calculating these fees that are kind of actually not that simple to calculate. And Stripe doesn't even care. What I mean is that Stripe, I was discussing with this one village, and they were saying, well, but you're telling Stripe to remove the fees or discount the fees. Like we're not even telling anything to Stripe. We're just changing the initial amount so that we try to make it the best way possible so that the fees that you receive offsets the fees that are expected.
I have a question really quick. This is Annika from Anderson Valley. So does this work when you're doing a membership payment?
Yeah.
And what if people are set up on a monthly payment system for their membership fee and they want to add this? How would you do that? I mean, obviously I'm going to ask them first, but just wondering how that works.
I'm just laughing because it's a great question. Let me see. So the question is here, right? We did a renew membership, the one-time payment, but now if we do a set up monthly payment, actually here we don't even have the option. So I think we don't have the option for monthly payments to add to cover for the fees. So let me try this again. So if we do renew membership, there is another way to get into set up monthly fees, which is from here, and you can change this because this person doesn't have the monthly fees activated. If you click here, but it's the same. We're gonna go into this form, and this form does not. We don't. Yeah. I think at one point it's like, dude, I'm gonna go crazy with this fees calculation, and we're not offering this up possibility for monthly membership payments, and I didn't even remember. The other thing that I wanted to say is that if you go to settings, and if you go to money here, you can choose if you add the credit card processing fees to payment form and to the donation form. So if you uncheck these two boxes, right, and you save this. So you have control over this too. So now if I go to donate, and then I come down here, I can choose my $10 and I can enter my name and stuff like that. I do not have the possibility to offset those fees anymore. So you choose, I mean, it has pros and cons, right? The pros is that, well, if some people decide to offset the fees, you receive a little bit more money as a village. If you think that it causes confusion or the fees or problem to your village, well, then deactivate the option. And then, you know, you will take the fees normally, but then it's, I don't know. So basically, that's how I solved the equation, because we have different people asking for different things. So it's like, okay, well, you have options. You can choose whatever option, and just explaining how these options work for you. My favorite option is asking for this, asking for the covering processing fees. It's just a checkbox. I think most of the donors, when they go in, they check the box and they hit the button, and then they're good with it, and it's all being done with the best intentions. What I mean is that we're trying to do legit what we say we're doing, which is offsetting these fees, and it gives you a little bit more money that gets to your bank account. We recommend these two settings here, and we recommend also not use, I mean, my personal preference would be to use the standard, because that's the closest calculation and the most accurate calculation of these fees. Okay. So this has been fun today with all the math and all the different thing. I hope everyone liked it. If you have other questions about the fees, well, my first recommendation is that you watch the video because we'll upload the recording, and and it's really better that you look at the math, how it works. You can obviously calculate, log into Stripe and calculate how our math, basically matches the Stripe, that the math that Stripe is doing. Our team is ready to meet with you because we really want to have this transparency and showing how we do these calculations. If you really have a question, we want to spend some time with you. We also recommend before you open a ticket about this, that you spend some time kind of studying this math and why we're doing this, because we spent some time on one-on-one with several villages. It was important for us to be transparent and stuff like that. But obviously, if we do that with every village, then we don't have monthly improvements. So all of this is public information. It will be uploaded to YouTube. We can have that, and then if you have questions and you have studied this question, just send us an email and we'll try to do a training document or something. The math takes some time, so if you didn't understand fully the math today, don't worry, because myself, I spent some time, because the fees are not calculated on the initial amount, but the last amount, I spent some time on the math. So don't expect to, if you didn't understand 100% of it today, don't worry, because I didn't also get it in 5 minutes either. Okay, well, that takes us to the top of the hour. So we have another webinar next week, and that is Q&A. I don't know if there will be math or not, so we'll see, but we're open to discuss any questions. Our recommendation is that you contact Gary with your questions ahead of time. And then we will meet again on the webinar. For that webinar, if you have the link, it's good. If you don't have the link, best way to get it is to contact V2V directly, and they will, sign you up for the webinar and send you the Zoom link. Perfect. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And then also, if you can give us some feedback about the vehicles next week, it will be useful also. I think it's the best way so that we all discuss together next week about what is useful to one village and not to another village before we go into more implementation. If we add it to volunteers or not, that is a discussion I would like to have next week if Gary is okay with that. Cool, perfect. Okay, thank you, everybody, for your time, and then talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.